Hey heroes, Jonathan here at Night Knowledge. It's an understatement to say I'm having fun with Starfield, and it's definitely fueling my altaholism. So in today's video, I'm going to go through 4 characters I've made, their builds, and what skills were worth it, and which ones I think are overrated. As always, if you find these videos helpful, like and subscribe, and check out my channel, as you'll likely find tons of time-saving and to-the-point guides. So the first character we're going to look at is Sabine Wren. I have a series on my channel that follows her exploits. She is a rebel, she is a Mandalorian, and this is a pretty simple build and kind of effective. So let's take a look at the tech tree. One of the most important skills is the boost pack training. This is actually a skill I recommend for almost any character, really, if you put at least 1 point in it so that you can actually utilize boost packs, because almost at the very beginning of the game, you're probably going to pick up a boost pack with at least the basic version that will give you the ability to do some small extra hops. And you know, honestly, I come across legendary versions very early, so I never really get to experience even the balanced, skip, or power boost packs. But even the basic boost pack is tremendous for any character. It provides that extra mobility and may allow you to skip certain parts on some specific missions. I've encountered 2 missions where boost packs significantly help you, and it's also always great just in general for combat, being able to jump over your enemies and kind of like kite them a little bit easier. So boost pack, definitely recommend for any character, and especially this build right here. We will, coupled with the boost assault training, this should be very good for a Mandalorian type of character where you use a more powerful boost pack, which allows you to hover in the air and then slow time so that you can kill more enemies that way. But I don't know about this as if this is truly a good skill, because the enemies have pretty good accuracy in the game. So hovering in the air may not be as good as you may think, although it's the game slowing down 70%. If you're super accurate, this might be very good for you. Let's look at the other skills that this character has. Security. This is essentially the lockpicking of Starfield, and Sabine has rank 3. She's working on her way to rank 4. I have another character with rank 4, and I'll just say right off the bat, I don't think I'm a big fan of lockpicking in Starfield. I actually prefer the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, or any of the other type of games lockpicking system. I prefer that. This obviously fits the lore of the game, but I don't find that I find it takes up a lot of time to lockpick, and the good thing about this is that if you don't pick up security in Starfield, you're not really losing out, because I've opened like hundreds, conservative hundreds, because I have over 140 hours in the game. I've opened hundreds of locked chests, and none of them, like only 1 or 2 maybe, had something interesting in it. And even then, you know, like if I didn't get that item, I wouldn't have been, oh man, you know, that's horrible. I've seen in a few missions where it might have helped, but there's always a way to do your mission without needing lock picking. And there will still always be the novice, the very basic locks and locked chests that will be given to you. Yes, there will be times where they're advanced, expert, and master where you can't open them, but in my experience, I've never encountered a situation where I've lockpicked something, I'm like, oh, thank God I lockpicked it. At the end of the day, it's always something really pitiful and is not worth it. Now, that being said, if you probably couple it with this skill, scavenging, then it might make it worth it if you put maybe the 3 points in it, so you get extra credits, extra ammo, extra aid items. But to be honest, in most of my characters, I've never been lousy for credits. Maybe at the very beginning of the game, but where my most powerful character is only level 38 or so, which we'll look at eventually, my character has 700 credits, and he's stopped picking up stuff. He's only picking up, rare, epic, and legendary items. He's no longer picking up every single weapon to sell, because cash is pretty easy to come across. So same thing with ammo. I don't really have a problem with ammo with most of my characters, and I don't really have a problem with aid items. Usually there's enough. If you really need, I've never actually had to specifically buy aid items. So just a thought. And basically, security, not really that interested. It does give you another form of experience, but it's not something required. Now, talking about some required things in the game, Sabine has piloting, starship design, and target control system. Starfield, sci-fi game, you actually really need these 3 skills. Piloting, which will allow you to use thrusters and improves your turning rate and maneuverability. Super important, because otherwise you got to slow down your ship and then hit that sweet spot and then be able to turn around when enemies fly past you. With thrusters and the rank 2, you can actually use thrusters to turn really quickly. You'll turn super quick, which will allow you to kill your enemies faster, which in some missions is very important. And it just keeps getting better for piloting. Being able to pilot Class B and Class C ships means that you'll be able to pilot the better ships, which means that you'll also be able to equip Class B and Class C items for your ship, so you can upgrade them to do more stuff. So this is a very important, I'd say a tier S type of skill that every character should get, because you will encounter situations where you can maybe commandeer ships, and nothing feels worse than seeing that message where you cannot pilot, you're not authorized to pilot the ship because you don't have rank 3 or rank 4 in it. Highly recommend. So since we talked about piloting, the other thing I'd recommend is starship design, maybe on a lesser extent. Starship design gives you certain modules when doing starship modifications to they're more powerful items. Once again, if it's not tier S, I'd say tier A maybe. Piloting is more important than starship design. This is for the type of person that really wants to get into the nitty gritty of designing a starship. You can still do very well with just piloting if you skip starship design, but I've found that you actually do spend a lot of time in space. I spend a lot of time in space. Most people might probably just spend time on the ground, so maybe starship design might not be that important, but still piloting is number 1. Now, if you do want to take over ships, I highly recommend targeting control systems. Very important, because it allows you to lock on to enemies after like maybe 3 seconds. You go into a special mode. It's kind of like the Fallout Pip-Boy mode, and you can target specific systems. So I'll typically target the engines. Once I target the engines and blow it up, then you're able to dock with them. You're able to take the ship. And hey, if you had piloting, then you can as long as you have rank 4, you can take over every ship. Now, remember, I would not say that, commandeering ships for profit is really a thing, at least at the time of this video, because at the time of this video, when you commandeer a ship and you take it back to your base, if you want to sell it, you have to register it first. Registering costs usually 90-95% of the value of it being sold. So I don't think it's really worth it. Granted, I haven't really come across too many B or C ranked ships, so maybe at the higher ranks they're worth more, but that would require you to fight those type of ships, and they would be pretty difficult. But either way, targeting control systems, very useful. Now, maybe in a future video I'll talk about the other skills, but let's just talk about the skills that Sabine has. In terms of science skills, we wanted her because she's a Mandalorian. Weapon is my culture type of thing. So she has 2 ranks in weapon engineering, and I think almost everyone should get this skill. It's a tier S, only for the fact that nothing feels worse than always seeing lots of random weapons with random mods come on, and you want to use your normal weapon because it just has better stats on it. And getting the weapon engineering means that you will be able to mod your weapon out the wazoo and have the best stats on it. Now, if you're going to go weapon engineering, make sure you go with research methods. Research methods, when maxed out, it will reduce resources required to craft and complete the research projects is reduced by 60%. That's more convenience, because technically you could just fly around to random vendors and get the resources you need. But this should save you a lot of time. And rank 4, as you can see, sudden developments during research are twice as common. That means that when you complete or add resources to a research project, there's a chance that it gives you additional resources for the rest of the project. So it saves you time, it saves you money. So highly recommend. Now, speaking about spacesuit design, so the armor, modifying armor, once again, at the time of this video, I highly recommend that you do not get spacesuit design. Yes, you want to modify, but I feel like Bethesda did a very poor job in making this viable, making this useful. So maybe in the future, this is a quality of life upgrade, but I highly do not recommend spacesuit design. I'd rank F or even worse. It's just a waste of time. There are very few mods for it. It just doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good to put any points in spacesuit design. Now, a lot of my characters went into surveying. So that basically allows you to scan items, scan flora, fauna, and ores on the surface. And when you complete a category of a flora, fauna, or the ores don't count, then you get some experience. And if you fully survey a planetoid or planet, asteroid, what have you, you get some bonus XP as well, and then you get a survey slate which you can sell, and they're usually worth about 500 credits. Now, basically each rank increases the distance that which you can scan, which does make it convenient, but I would actually argue now that I've played for so long that you don't need surveying, even rank 1, even to increase it. Because what I found out after a while is that when you kill animals or aliens, then it automatically scans it for you. If you come across dead aliens that you haven't touched, you can scan it at that point, and because they're not moving, because they're not aggressive, you can just walk up to them and scan it. And spending that extra couple seconds to scan further things, I think it's better, because you can spend those skill points into research methods or possibly medicine. I'm going to explain why. So surveying, you can kill animals to survey. You can loot, you can harvest plants, and that actually will scan it as well for you. I did not know that, but next time if you want to try it yourself, pull up your scanner, look at the actual, say, plant that you're going to scan, see how much scanning percentage progress you've made. Now, don't scan it. Actually go and harvest from that plant, and then pull up your scanner. You'll see that by actually harvesting, you've actually scanned it passively. Same thing by killing aliens. When you kill aliens, it passively scans for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And flyers are great because all you have to do is aim at flyers with the scanner, and it doesn't matter the distance, it will scan it for you. As long as you can see it, you can scan it. So that's a helpful tip for Neon, because it has two types of sharks or fish in the water, and although they're super far away, as long as you're looking down at them with the scanner, you can scan them. So surveying, I don't recommend it. You do not need it. The last skill that Sabine has is medicine. Now, medicine, normally I'd say this is a wasted skill point as well, but for whatever reason, this character seems to be taking a ton of damage, and she's my very first character in 140 plus hours that actually ran out of med packs. I've never seen it happen. So she's using her trauma packs now. So if you find your character is doing that, if maybe you're playing at a higher difficulty level, you may need to put points in medicine, and it wouldn't be a waste, because even some of my strongest characters, they are kind of sucking down the med packs. And until Bethesda adds the quality of life update, which allows you to eat food, gives you an eat food button, medicine does have a place in the game. The last thing I want to touch upon is her last skill, which is lasers. Lasers, there are quite a few weapons for lasers, and what's to say about it? Sabine Wren is putting points in lasers so that she can get particle beams. She can do it with her next skill if she wanted to, and she has a few particle beam weapons, I think, on her. She has this Nova Light, this converted Nova Light, which is a particle beam weapon. But most of her weapons are laser. Here's a rifle. Here is electromagnetic. So that's technically not a particle weapon. And that's another laser. So with my more experienced character, I think I've seen one other or two other particle beam weapons. They're nothing to write home about. So I feel like when it comes to weapon skills in the game, all of these weapon skills in the top two rows is all about what is your primary weapon. I don't feel like there is any particular weapon type that is overpowered. My favorite, what I'm seeing super high damage, is obviously heavy weapons and obviously shotguns. But there is a place for rifles, there is a place for pistols, and there is a place for melee, so which we'll see in a future character. So those are the skills on Sabine Wren. We're going to switch to another character now to look at those skills. Okay, so the next character we're looking at is Blackbeard. He's obviously a pirate, so this is kind of like an evil spacefaring type of character. So let's take a look at Blackbeard and the skills that he has. As you can see, once again, he is about being in space, piloting your ship, and destroying enemies. So as you can see, maxed out piloting. We're trying to max out the starship design. We've almost maxed. If we have a skill point, we can max out security, and we are on rank 3 of targeting control system. As you can see, the bonuses of targeting control system basically decreases the time for you to lock onto enemy ships, and then you get so you get kind of like bullet time, you get increased crit chance, and then you have increased system damage, so which is fantastic. So if I actually I want to, I should put some points into, say, ballistic weapons, or basically some ship weapon skill, because what it does usually is a point or two or a couple points in specific weapons decreases the cost to use in targeting mode. So ballistics is all about, ballistics doesn't really do that. It's about recharge, and it's about doing more damage to individual systems. So if I can get those shields down and then use my ballistics, using the targeting on, say, the engines, with rank 4, we can take down an enemy engines super fast, extremely fast. Other ones, like, say, energy weapon system, it will decrease the cost of using it by 45%, meaning that you'll get to stay in targeting mode longer, because just like Fallout, and using the VATS, that's what it is. It's less, using less power in VATS. So that's very simple for Blackbeard. He has the same thing. He has been putting points into weapon engineering. He has only 1 rank in surveying and was like, oh, this is useless. And he has 3 points in the research methods. There are lots of different things you can research in the game, whether it's cooking, whether it's outpost design, all that kind of stuff. But the more you go into crafting, the more important it is to get research methods maxed out as soon as possible. It'll just save you time. And then finally, let's just take a look over here. Blackbeard, we are going to be piloting our ship often. We're going to try to commandeer and steal ships often. Remember, I have a video on how to do it very easily. So because we're going to be in ships or enemy ships, we're going to be in very close combat. So that's why we put points into shotguns, and shotguns always do a lot of damage. It's hard to miss with them, and there's quite a few good ones where you'll be able to do a lot of good damage. I think my character though has been using the same shotgun since almost the beginning, rapid shot, which I think you get in New Atlantis. And I did pick up this one over here. This is a shotgun that you'll find around your level 20s. So, and I think this is a special rare one where it gets explosive rounds. So that's pretty cool. The reason why this might be slightly better, if anything, than the rapid shot is that it has a magazine of 20. So you'll be able to fire more before having to reload, while the rapid shot technically does double the damage and it still shoots pretty fast, but the magazine's only 7, so maybe you kill 1 or 2 enemies, then you got to reload. Whereas with the boom boom, you can kill maybe 4 or 5 enemies before you have to reload, so that could be a big difference in combat. So that is the shotgun certification. In the social tab, I put some points into commerce because I wanted to get intimidation, because Blackbeard, from what I've read about him, he would intimidate his enemies and cause fear. So this is more of a flavor skill rather than usefulness. So what intimidation does is it causes target NPCs to flee for a limited time. So now the problem with that is that we're going to see one of my characters as instigation, and intimidation should work just like instigation, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But that was the plan. That's why we have points in commerce, because we're going to be stealing a lot, and hopefully this should apply to, I imagine, to ships. So when I steal the ships I don't want, I can then sell them for more. So I'm gonna max out commerce and then get intimidation for this specific pirate spaceship build. This is probably one of my more enjoyable builds because he's kind of evil, so he can kind of do whatever he kind of wants. He's very good in both ground combat and spaceship combat, so he's never weak in any specific case, except for being persuasive. He's just going to have to pay full price, or he's just not going to be able to convince people. So he might have to do things a little bit longer, but because he's evil, then he can just kill people if he doesn't get his way. So in terms of the commerce skill, it's good, but only for certain types of builds. I don't really think I need it for this build, and I think most players don't need it. Commerce maybe is rank B or C, I'd say even. The reason why I say that is because there's just so much to loot in the game that you're going to have the money. So being able to sell items for 25% more means that you can actually only sell less. And the problem I have all the time is that I'm always over encumbered, either on myself or my ship, meaning that I have to build a bigger ship with more cargo, making it slower and bigger, or I just have to be pickier and find more creative ways for storage. I have a video on that as well. So commerce, not something I would pick in the future. I would pick something like, I guess, actually persuasion or scavenging, but most likely persuasion, just so that helps you with certain aspects of the game. The last skill that Blackbeard has right now is weightlifting, something I highly recommend. It's not what I would say a rank S skill, but it's very close, in between A and S. It's because whether you're alone or if you have followers, companions with you, it's always great to be able to carry maybe 100 extra kilograms of weight. That just means you can hold more and less time you spend saying, oh, I'm overweight again. What can I drop? And then you know what you have to do? Then you have to go through your inventory, and then you have to say, okay, what I usually do, I take the value divided by the mass, and how much credits am I getting per pound of mass, or 1 kilogram of mass. And if you don't want to do the math like me, then that's gonna be a big chore. And basically weapons is the best thing usually to keep and to ditch your spacesuits, packs, and helmets. But it's all case by case, actually. Okay, so those are all the skills on Blackbeard. Once again, very good build. I'll just go over it again. Focusing on tech for your spaceship combat. Then we got science working on weapon engineering. If I can, I would like to get N-neutronic fusion, and which when maxed out gives you 5 more extra units of power. Whenever you have a character based on starship combat, you want to make sure you also get this skill. 5 extra units of power can be a big buff to your just your gameplay. Just everything is just better. Okay, so and let's go to our next character now. So the third character we're going to look at is Cedis. This is a build that I think a lot of people will actually gravitate towards initially, and then they either love it or you don't really like it. So Cedis, although he's kind of low level, you can kind of get the gist of what he's going for. He's basically a thief. You're gonna be in stealth. You're gonna try to get those sneak attacks and persuade when you need to. You'll use ballistic weapons, and you'll lockpick. So we talked about lockpicking. I personally don't think it's useful in a thief. In a thief role, I guess it's more useful, but still, like I said, I've never encountered a situation where I lockpicked something. I was like, oh, thank God I lockpicked it. This is a fantastic item. But if you're stealing, I guess maybe it holds more value, and is once again it's an extra form of XP. Once again, I would not put points into surveying, and he has points in geology. I think I was just trying out this skill, and basically I believe what this skill does is that when you actually do mining on planets, it'll give you more ore, whether it's common, uncommon, to all the way to exotic. And you know what? I don't think geology is really useful. It might save you time on some planets, but I don't know. I don't feel like geology is that great until Bethesda revamps their crafting system and maybe outpost system. Geology, I'm not interested in it. We talked about research methods, it being very good, and as a thief, I plan on getting weapon engineering, because you need, I think, rank 3, and then research those steps to be able to apply silencers to weapons. And that's super important. If you're going to play almost any stealthy type of character, you need silencers or suppressors, and you can't guarantee that great gun that you found has a suppressor on it. And unfortunately, unlike other, like say Fallout games, you can't buy a mod and install it. You need to know how to make it and make it from scratch. So this character is basically going to go into weapon engineering, get rank 3 or 4 to be able to apply suppressors to any gun he finds. So whenever he finds a new better gun, he just goes to the weapon bench, modifies the heck out of it, including putting a suppressor on it. This character has put points into ballistics because, once again, it's a low-level character. Most likely, the plan was to get either, most likely, rifle certification, get a strong rifle, put a suppressor, so that you have both long range and possibly short range, for combat. So you can get those long range sneak attacks. In my experience, though, enemies become very aware of where you are once you get that first kill. Even if you're in total stealth, any kill, the awareness bar, I feel, fills up very quickly, and that's with a maxed out stealth right here. Well, actually, it's not maxed, but it'll be maxed soon. So I would probably recommend for this type of build to get sniper certification, so that we can use snipers. Although I haven't found too many, so I don't know what the viability is of sniper certification. I'm quite sure the game can just knows I'm of a high level on my other character, and I haven't come across any snipers I'm like, oh, I should use this. Now let's keep talking about the skills that we have. So theft, oh my goodness, absolutely never. I would never recommend this skill at all. Granted, if you max out rank 4 theft, you can steal from everyone all the time and almost always succeed. But at the beginning, this is a super painful skill, and you get very few good rewards from it. And this is only good, I feel, theft is only good if you don't mind getting bounties, if you don't mind getting caught, or if you like to save scum and you're quick saving all the time. You try to steal, you fail, and then you quick load. That would be the only reason I'd pick theft. Yes, it might save you on certain quests, but I've never really stolen something off an NPC and be like, oh, thank God I stole from this person, or whoa, look at this amazing thing. I've never stolen anything that was worthwhile in the least. So something that Bethesda, I think, should really change. Maybe make it random, certain guys having certain really cool things, but I've never come across anything other than money, aid items. This character can, I thought I had a character that can steal, but apparently not. Maybe I'm using an old save to show this, but I was able to steal holstered weapons, and these NPCs, they only have basic holstered weapons, so there's no point. So theft, don't recommend. This character has 2 points in persuasion. We talked about persuasion. Actually, we didn't really. Persuasion is useful in the early game if you have it at high levels, because you can use persuasion on potential new crew members and reduce the price, I believe, in half or significantly. Other than that, persuasion is used quite often in is used quite often in quests. So this is an important skill. I wouldn't say it's a fun skill, because unless you have the skill maxed out, this is kind of like theft. It's kind of a safe, scummy thing, because I haven't really figured out how to persuade correctly. Do you pick just the easy? Like, you only got 3 tries, technically, 3 tries to get maximum persuasion, and I just haven't figured it out. Persuasion doesn't feel fun to me in Starfield. So the final skill that this character has for the build is stealth, obviously, so that we are harder to detect while sneaking, and we do a small increase to sneak attack damage, and when it's maxed, I'll be able to open doors and not alert enemies. So it's important for any stealth build, and most likely you would work your way to concealment over here. Basically, this one's the more important stealth, so that when you're doing ranged stealth, you're doing up to 4 times normal damage. So say maybe at this point you have a weapon that does 100 plus damage per shot, where we're talking about 400 per shot. So basically an insta kill, and if you can crit, even better. And if you're a super sneaky ninja and somehow have the patience to do melee, we're talking about maybe say 10 times 200, so something like 2,000 damage. So it will guarantee killing almost everything, even elites, but that's not getting caught in stealth. So something this character should invest in, I'd highly recommend. Do not use followers if you're going for a stealth build, and pick up isolation then. So that will increase your weapon damage up to 40%, and it'll give you damage resistance. Because I feel like in many times that when you have a follower, when you're in stealth, they are making alerting enemies, and they're shooting and shooting at the wrong time. So I'd highly recommend on any stealth build, do not have followers, pick up isolation. Okay. So we're going to look at our last character now. Okay, so on to my last character. My last character is Kinson at level 39, and obviously we would have like a level 50 plus character by now, having finished the game in New Game Plus, if I just stuck with one character. But as you can see, I'm an alcoholic, and I love creating lots of different characters, trying lots of different things. taking what I've learned with one character and applying it to our future character. So this is actually my newest character at the highest level, because I've taken everything I've learned with my other characters and turned it into this guy. So what is Kinson about? Kinson is, in a nutshell, my melee character. So he was about melee and being on his own. So we maxed out dueling, and this was actually very helpful, because at the beginning melee doesn't feel very good, but the game actually knew I was picking up dueling, or knew that I was going to do a melee character, and it would give me weapons with instigation, or instigator. So basically it would deal double damage on an undamaged enemy. So basically I could possibly one-shot or deal massive damage to enemies in melee. And then with rank 4, I heal myself. So this saves you on medkits. So part of this build, which made it really click, I wouldn't say that this is my favorite build in the sense that that I have fun all the time. It's definitely my most powerful build that I don't have to worry about, except for a certain part, which we'll talk about. So being that this character's on his own, we picked up isolation, and so that we get that extra weapon damage, we get the extra damage resistance. Then what I'm working, because this character is on its own, very important for this build, you want to pick up weightlifting so that you can carry that extra weight that you lose from not having a follower. This character, I believe, let me just take a quick look. He's also an introvert. So because I knew that this character would be on its own, I picked up introvert, so that when I'm not adventuring with companions, then I use up less oxygen, which is very important, because doing melee will actually, especially your heavy attack, power attacks, it will use up your oxygen. So very important. I would highly recommend, if you're going melee, to pick up fitness as well, because it increases the amount of oxygen available, and in rank 4 it significantly use less oxygen when power attacking, so very important. So instead though, this character has pain tolerance for only really the reason so that I can put points into martial arts. If I can redo this, I would put points, max out weightlifting, max out fitness, or maybe gymnastics, and then go into martial arts. And the reason for that is, for a melee build, this increases crit chance, gives you a chance to disarm, which is huge. You take less damage, and then if you ever block, which I almost never block, you can reflect damage, which I don't think I'd get rank 4. I'd only get rank 3 of martial arts for a melee build. But my character is so strong, even though at level 39, I haven't felt the need to rush to martial arts. It's not a big deal. I've only recently been putting points into pain tolerance. And as you can see, I did put 1 point in wellness, not thinking correctly. This increases your health, and I was like, oh, with a melee character, I'm going to need more health because I'll probably be taking more damage. And while melee is strong, there are many frustrating times, because it's not melee combat is not a smooth process. If you get close enough to enemies, they will always try to bash you, and that bash is faster than your swing. Usually you have to time your swing properly, kind of swing before you get close enough, otherwise they're going to bash you first, which will stagger you. And even though I do have 50% stagger resistance, it still doesn't help. All the time I'm getting close for melee, I get bashed, it staggers me, and it just throws off your tempo. So do not recommend wellness unless maybe you're playing at super high difficulties, but at least on normal difficulty, I don't feel like wellness is that important for this build. This build, I'm very durable, and that's probably in thanks to isolation. So let's talk about the skills that did not work, which is almost everything else here. So we talked about persuasion, and didn't really need it, but what's really great is negotiation. Actually, I would highly recommend to put even 1 point into negotiation, which gives you access to bribe in speech challenges. So you can now give some money to bribe people, which gives you a big buff. You may not succeed right off the bat, but bribery will get you very close to succeeding. And I've never encountered a very high bribe. The highest bribe that has ever costed me was about 4,000 credits. So that's nothing in this game, because look at this character. This character has, does it show me? I have almost 800,000 credits, and like I said, this character has stopped looting, really. I only look for legendary-ish items. So negotiation, definitely helpful. It gets you around things so that you don't have to spend time to do it. I put points in scavenging. Once again, you know my thoughts on scavenging. Now, gastronomy. I really wanted to love gastronomy. I thought I saw a lot of great videos, trailers on this when they were hyping up Starfield. But you know what? Gastronomy, it is worse than tier F skill. Absolutely no use. I've crafted maybe under 20 food, and I rarely use it. And you know what? The worst thing about this skill, other than you're not using it, it is filling up your ship and your own inventory. You're picking up all these resources or materials to be able to craft food, and you don't need like 90% of it. So, and it's actually kind of a hard thing to find. So when you actually need certain recipes, research recipes, they're really hard things to find. So and you have to hope on luck. You have to find the right place to get it. I remember there was that tea, you know how there's coffee in the game and then there's tea. There was a special Sunray version tea that I was only able to find in 2 places after maybe 50 hours with this character, or however long with this character. So gastronomy, totally don't recommend. If this was better, obviously I would invest points in nutrition to make them more effective. But even 50% effective more food and drinks, I don't think it works well. Wait for a quality of life update or overhaul by Bethesda. They need to fix gastronomy and nutrition. Nutrition, it should be 100% bonus, and gastronomy, they need to make it easier, or they need to make it worth it. They really need to make it worth it. The main benefit for food is that unlike med kits or trauma packs or whatever, it will heal you immediately rather than over time. So it's a hot rather than an insta heal. So you could just spam your hotkey for food that you hopefully have a big stack of to heal yourself much quicker. But that did not work for this build. I was going to be a melee chef, but that totally did not work. This character picked up instigation, and this allows me to force NPCs to attack their allies. And if I get rank 4, they will attack until they're dead. So this, in theory, sounds really good, but it doesn't work well, at least on the PC version, unless maybe you're playing it very slow. So you're playing at very high difficulty, maybe you're playing as a sniper, this might work, instigation. Because how you instigate and force NPCs to fight their allies is you actually have to turn on the scanner, look at the person, make sure that you're within range, and then interact twice with them. Interact to select and interact to instigate. If you fail, which I fail very often, then you can't try to instigate them again. And then yes, they do fight their friends, but I don't think this is a very good skill. Once again, maybe if you're a sniper so that you can cause some chaos, but then again you got to get kind of closer to them because it doesn't really work from very far away. And I just feel like it's very clunky having to switch between the scanner and to your weapon, scanner weapon. It just doesn't work. So in the future, I would never pick instigation again, unless, once again, Bethesda does something to make it more fun. The last skill I picked was ship command, so that it can allow you to have more active crew members on your ship, because your ship may be able to have 6, 7, 8 plus crew members, but the game doesn't tell you that you can technically only have 3 active crew members if you don't have this skill. So you may have the spots in your actual ship, but if you don't have the ship command skill, you actually can't make use of it. So, that's why I've been putting points into it, because there are actually a lot of Constellation members, a little spoiler, that have lots of great skills for space exploration and combat. So you would want more active crew members on your ship. So keep that in mind if you're making that type of character. If you're going to spend a lot of time flying your ship, make sure you aim to get ship command so that you can make use of those skills. So we talked about dueling, which is very important, and then we'll talk about science. So what was this character doing? So one of the reason why I picked silence for this character, and I did high in surveying, was because my idea was I'm going to go to planets with fauna and flora, so that's basically plants and animals. I'm going to survey everything, get the experience that way. I'm going to, and during, I'm going to kill all the animals as well to get extra experience. So I'm basically going to, that's why my character is level 39, much higher than my other characters, because I spent a lot of time surveying planets, killing things at the same time. So, and to help me do that, I have 2 ranks in zoology, which is very important because this gives you, this basically requires less scans for each type of creature, so you can complete the scan quicker. So, because there's always that planet that has those little critters that you have to find, and until, once again, Bethesda maybe changes that. I think they definitely need to change that. They need to increase the spawn rates of certain types of aliens, and I use this so that I don't have to scan as often, so you don't have to rely on luck of finding those specific aliens when you're traveling, when you're trying to survey places quickly. Once again, spacesuit design, I would, if I could, without cheating, I would totally remove spacesuit design because it is a waste of time. Scanning, so this allows me to scan and detect in more ores, basically, and allows you to get more information about ships. Technically, my Blackbeard pirates should get this, because then I can, I can get a complete list of cargo on ships in space. And then if I couple scanning with, deception, Blackbeard can then conduct piracy, on stronger ships, get their loot, and even get the enemy contraband. So those 3 work very well together: deception, scanning, and then putting points into tech. But this character was just trying scanning for fun. I don't feel like scanning is too useful other than getting that complete list. But this character plays it loose. It's like sometimes he's good, sometimes he's evil, but scanning isn't working for whatever this build is. Astrophysics, on the other hand, is very useful for a scanning based character. So at the very beginning, if you need to scan any moons or planets or gas giants, you need to actually travel to that specific spot to scan it. With points in astrophysics, you can scan even 1 point in astrophysics. This allows you to scan moons on your current planet. So let's zoom out a little bit, and I'll show you that. I'll show you what that means. So right here, if I have, which I do, 1 point in astrophysics, I can go to Olivia's Prime, and then I can obviously, when I go there, I can scan it. As you can see, it says surveyed. But then I don't have to travel to all the moons to scan it. From here, I can scan each moon without actually having to travel. So that basically saves you a ton of time, a lot of load screens. Even on an SSD, which I'm on, it will save you a ton of time. So, and the great thing about this is that this will help you find potential outposts, but at the same time, when you do a gas giant always requires only 1 scan. You don't need any special skills in it, and there's nothing else to research on a gas giant. That's it. So you get the experience for completing a full survey on it. You also get that survey slate, which you can sell. So it's just really good. So let's go back to that. So astrophysics, really good. As you can see, I have rank 2 in astrophysics now. That means I can scan any planet or moon in the entire system. So what is a system compared to everything else? This is a system right here. So if I was in New Atlantis, I can from New Atlantis scan everything here without even taking my ship out. I can then go to, say, what's it called? Sakharov. Actually, that's not a good example. But I can go to the Sol system, go to, say, the Deimos star yard, and then from there I can scan every single planet. So I would get 3 gas giants for free without moving my butt. So that is actually a very good skill. It's a skill of convenience, though. You know, it just saves you time. You can technically, if you have unlimited time, you're playing it slow, you don't need astrophysics. But if you're lazy, this is the lazy man's skill. Okay, so I put points in outpost engineering. Although I see lots of videos on it, I haven't seen the true purpose, the true benefit of having an outpost. No, I don't see any point in it, and that's what's disappointing to me. I love making bases. I love, making fortifications, making things look nice, and I'm not getting that feeling in Starfield once again at this time. I imagine down the road, Bethesda will make it more compelling, and then that's why I have a point in outpost engineering. It's just I don't feel it's very good. It doesn't feel very good right now. So the last thing I want to show you for this character, which is a melee build scanner, kind of like a accelerated experience build, is that I've been putting points slowly, because I only have 1 rank in each, in both piloting and targeting control. We talked about piloting. My character is high level, and I have started to encounter higher ranked ships, and I can't pilot them. I actually have a rank B ship, but I can't pilot it because I don't have enough piloting skill. So that's why I'm putting points into that. And I am encountering more enemies, especially if you're going to be scanning in space often. You're going to be encountering more enemies, and you can't always just run away. Also, this character, especially if you pick well, my other characters had the wanted trait, meaning that from time to time you're going to come across mercenaries or bounty hunters that basically want to take you out. You're going to need the better piloting skills to be able to fend them off. So the goal for this character is to increase piloting to rank 4, so we can pilot the best ships. Most likely, if I have some extra time, get starship design, but we're going to increase targeting control as well, and most likely actually we're going to put points into shield systems so that we have more shields, and then starship engineering so that we can repair better. So both are very good if you're going to spend a lot of time in space. So that is Kinson, my last build. I hope this was entertaining and you had fun. Let me know in the comments below what are your builds that you've been using and what skills you recommend, whether you agree with my evaluations of the skills, or if you disagree, you have to let me know why it is you disagree. Like, is it because it works for your build, or maybe I haven't seen it in a proper light? Thanks for joining me today. Check out the rest of my channel on other videos on Starfield, video games, board games, and other fun things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.